Welcome to the Awareness Angle, where we break down the latest cybersecurity stories and look at what they really mean for awareness, behavior, and staying safe. This is an independent podcast. Our views are our own. So if we say something you don't like, blame us, not the people that pay us. This week, we kick things off with an update on the Co-op cyber incident, and no update from M&S or Harrods. We have WhatsApp scams, OneDrive risks, passkeys everywhere, and more dodgy SMS messages. All of this and a whole lot more on the Awareness Angle. No jargon, no drama, just what you need to know. And with me as always I'm Ant Davis. That's who I am. I don't even introduce myself anymore. I'm Ant Davis. And with me as always is Luke Pettigrew. Hello, Luke.
Cool. Hey, everyone. Hey, Ant.
How you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad of a week for me, but I'm sure many people have been very busy these past few weeks.
Yes, I'm sure they are. People dealing with cyber incidents everywhere. Before we get into that, we have some breaking news. It was breaking at the time of recording, but we are overwhelmed. We're astounded. We have been nominated for an award. Not just an award. We've been nominated for 2 awards, and I've been nominated for 1, which is incredible. So, yes, the European Cybersecurity Blogger Awards 2025, the Awareness Angle podcast has been nominated. We're up for Best Newcomer, The Newcomer, Best Blog or Podcast less than 1 year old. All of these categories we're up against some very well established names, some very big budget podcasts. So, for example, one of the podcasts that we're up against in the newcomer category, their microphones cost more than our annual budget for this whole podcast. So that's interesting. So let's see how that works. We are also nominated for the Back to Basics category, which is the blog, podcast, or vlog that makes cyber accessible for all. And that's what the podcast's all about, right? It's the Awareness Angle, simplifying cybersecurity, simple cyber news. That's what we do. Up against there, Hidden Text, NCSC, NHS Digital Cyber Sessions. Again, some really well-established names. And then I'm up for Contributor of the Year, absolute imposter syndrome. I'm up against Graham Cluley, Javid Malik, Kate O'Flaherty, Rebecca Taylor, Dan Raywood, and Phil Muncaster. Some really well-established names. I was looking, Graham's got 30,000 LinkedIn followers. Javid, I think, has got 9,000 LinkedIn followers. I have 2, which I thought was incredible till I looked at Graham and then felt like a wee minnow. So,
2 or 2,000.
Yeah. Look, it's amazing to have been nominated. It shows that we're doing something right. So thank you.
That's amazing.
Thank you for the support from everyone. Now we just need you to go and vote. Okay. It's as simple as that, because the first part of this is a vote. And, if it's the popular vote, we don't have as many people, followers, not as many people are listening or seeing our stuff as some of the others. So if you are hearing this or watching this or listening to this, you need to go and do it to help us. So pop along to riskycreative.com. There's a big link on that page that will take you through to the form, fill in your details, and vote for the awareness. If you want to vote, you don't have to, but we would really appreciate it if you did, at least in one of the categories.
Would be really good.
Yeah. The ones that I'm astounded that I'm there for Contributor of the Year. That's it's nice to be there amongst those names. It's nice to get a mention, right?
You could the one that would be. I'm going to frame it. You could put it in your LinkedIn. Profile.
That's a great. Why have I not done that yet? I need to do that, and it needs to go on the CV. The one that it would be amazing if the podcast, either the newcomer or the Back to Basics one, that's the ones that would be really, really close to the heart. If the podcast, got anywhere close to a sniff for either of those, it'd be amazing. That would mean so much for. We put a lot of hours into this, and we don't get paid for this. This is a passion project. And each week we're doing the newsletter and we're doing the video and we're researching stories, and then we have this conversation. So look, it's great to be where we are. If you feel like voting for us, we'd love you for that. So go along to riskycreative.com. There'll be a button there. And when you're there, you can sign up for the newsletter as well. But yes, thank you for everyone. And fingers crossed for the European Cybersecurity Blogger Awards 2025. Should we get on with the show? Sorry.
Yeah, let's get to the news.
Sorry for the shameless plug. Here's the news. Right. This week, an update on M&S and Co-op. So Marks and Spencer's obviously 2-3 weeks ago had an awful cyber attack and their systems have been severely impacted. There is no update from them that I've seen at all. Harrods as well were also claimed to have, been dealing with something, and there's been no update from them either. So yeah, but there has been more stories about Co-op, and it's just
not looking good, is it?
It's not looking good. I feel quite sorry for the people there. It's not looking good at all. The Co-op has stopped ordering all but essential goods. The supermarket has written to companies that supply it with food and drink yesterday, which was Wednesday, essentially telling them it would only be manually ordering a minimum range of products. They shouldn't be sending any deliveries to depots without instructions. So it's now severely impacting their ordering systems. I read similar. There was an article earlier in the week that Marks and Spencer's, it was an article from one of their suppliers, Green Core, I think their name is, who make their sandwiches and, lunch wraps and sandwiches.
Deal stuff.
Yeah. And they said that they don't know what they need, but they're looking at previous years and the seasons and sending them what they think they need. And it's all back old school manual, dusted off the fax machine, and it's gone back to pen and paper, which is amazing, isn't it, in this day and age? But you do what you have to do. And they were really supportive. Like I think it was the CEO of Greencore that was interviewed. He was really supportive, really sympathetic. We'll get them what they need. We can still. I've heard that shelves shelves may not have been stocked very well. Someone I know said that the M&S where they were in London was quite empty compared to normal. People weren't going in there for lunch and stuff. So
yeah,
it's
some news stories.
If you're in an organization, if you do security in an organization, it never has there been, I think, in the UK, a better relatable story. Look at the impact this is having to these massive, big names, household names, and use that to explain how important it is. We now know pretty confidently how the incident happened. There's lots of reports saying it was Dragon Force socially engineering an IT help desk person to change passwords. So you need to look at those processes. You need to double down on those and make sure you're authenticating users correctly. Because if you're not, it could be you. And I'm not talking about winning the lottery. It could be you suffering like this. It's dreadful. Yeah. So, yes, batten the hatches. We'll let you know when, well, you probably know more, but we'll let you know when we know more. But yeah, just keep an eye out. Everyone be very, very careful. Not just food retail, but, UK business, it feels really uncertain at the moment, right? So UK businesses, just keep an eye out. More awareness. If your awareness team isn't putting stuff out, get it out there. Tell your people. If you're not allowed to get it out there, talk to the people stopping you and go, look, what's happening to them? Are you prepared to just talk to your people? It's scary times. Right, I'll move on to the next one. Hi, Mum. This is the WhatsApp text scam that's costing parents and friends lots of money. So this new Hi Mum scam was reported in The Guardian in the UK this week. And if you've got parents, friends or relatives this is one to talk to them about. Or if you've got, like, if you're in a business, talk to your people, tell them to have these conversations. You get a WhatsApp or a text message that starts with something like, "Hi, Mum, I've lost my phone," or "Hi, Dad, it's me, I'm in trouble." And the person on the other end claims to be your child or someone close, and they sound stressed. They'll say they're locked out of their online banking or their phone's broken and they need to send you money urgently, usually to a friend or a landlord. And it plays on all these triggers. I mean, this doesn't sound like, The Guardian have made out that this is like a new scam that's gone around, but this sounds like a tale as old as time. It's some ways, doesn't it?
It's not new.
No. So, but what is new? So they use emotion, like rushed, sounds like someone you care about. And that's what they want, right? They want fear, uncertainty, doubt. They want you panicked. Okay. But essentially, what they're now doing is they're using AI-generated voice notes to make it sound even more convincing. So they'll, I'm guessing, building profiles of your kids from social media. So basically, you'll get a voice note with your child's voice asking for help, and that takes it to a whole new level. That's not something that we've really seen done before.
No.
So if you do get one of these messages, it's time to just slow down, calm down, take a breath and really, really think. These typically come from an unknown number. If you don't respond, they'll typically pepper you with more and more messages until eventually they give up. But if you do respond, they'll typically enter into a conversation and then eventually they'll ask you for bank details. So this is where it's really, really important, I think, that you try and validate. Now, I have a secret word with my mum that I'm not going to say, and it is something unique that she has somewhere, and she knows now to ask me for it. And if I say that word, then that means that it's really me. But this doesn't stop, a friend that she knows or my wife being cloned and calling my mum and her going, "Oh, I don't know the word," but she's worried about me. And so.
Yeah, no, it's interesting technique to start doing the voice notes. I do wonder how real they sound, but I guess with some manipulation and in a panic, you might just sort of think it is your child or friend or parent.
We've done voice cloning before, some time ago now, and it wasn't very good with me, but it was quite good with someone else that we tried it. Like really good.
And you didn't really need a whole lot of source footage, did you?
The source footage we did use for that was really, really noisy. There was wind in the background. It was recorded, it looked and sounded, it was about an 8-year-old clip that looked like it was recorded on a phone 8 years ago with lots of wind noise in the background. And that, the AI tool we used cleaned up really well. Now, just to put it out there, we had the person who we cloned, we had their permission, and it was done as a part of, red team exercise. And we used it as an awareness piece, actually, like CEO voice cloning. So yeah, the technology's only gotten better. And I know from like the stuff that Perry Carpenter does, he's got an AI podcast that talks about deep fakes and stuff like that. And the technology is only getting better. So,
yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah.
Something as well on that news story talks about how you can report your messages to WhatsApp if obviously you receive it through WhatsApp, but also about scam texts can be forwarded to 7726, which goes to the telephone network providers.
How are you meant to know about
that? Another number I didn't know about. And obviously in the UK you can report it to action fraud as well. I never heard of that number before. Not a very catchy one.
It should be 7226.
It spells spam, apparently. That's why.
Oh, okay. I went for scam. But yeah. That's what I was looking at that and I'm like, old school spam. It's not really spam, it's a scam. Like maybe they should go with 7226. So last week we spoke about 159.
Yeah.
It was 159, wasn't it? It was the 3 numbers to call in the UK. If you dial 159, it takes you to the service and asks you which bank you want to be connected to, and then you can say the name of your bank and it will connect you. And that's brilliant. I've told my mum that. She's written it down in her book. She now knows that whenever she needs, she's got like more than one bank. She now knows whenever she needs to call her bank, she just dials 159. She's put it in her phone on the bank and she's put it in her book. It's brilliant. Like, game changer for my mum now. If ever she's in doubt, she can just call 159. Scam is not so clear, and forwarding a message gets a bit fluffy because if you forward it, it doesn't really get the number that it came. I feel like Apple and Google could do more with this, much in the way that I have so much blame laid at the doors of email providers. But Apple collates all of, and let's not say they don't. Apple, WhatsApp, all these messaging services collect all of this data. They know what scam is. They know what scam message looks like. They'll see people ignoring it, deleting it, reporting it. But I bet it's really rare. I've never noticed one disappearing. They still get through. So, yeah. So no, that's interesting. Voice cloning takes it to a whole new level.
No, definitely.
What do you do? You ask them a question that only they would know, or you ask them 2 or 3 questions that only they would know. Where did we go on holiday when you were 14? Answer me quick. And if they don't answer in like 10 seconds, because don't forget people can Facebook, what was, I don't know. What colour was the Ford Focus you drove in 1996 or something like that? I don't know. Yeah, ask them some questions and just don't part with the money. Like if they're asking for money and it's unusual, if it feels icky, it probably is.
I mean, I guess in some cases you can probably ask them for their location, right? If this is your child, go and meet them in person if you can.
Yeah. That's another interesting thing, actually. So depending on their age, like my kids, I've got Life 360, which is a app. And essentially I can see where my kids are at any time if their phone's been stolen, which is the argument they use. But I don't know, ask them for a number, ask them to, in a grand scheme of things, all right, where are you? Okay, go on Google Maps and see if they can describe exactly where they are. And I don't know. Like, go to a policeman, find a police officer.
Yeah.
You can never find a police officer these days. That would have been the old one. Yeah. So talk to your people about this scam, AI voice cloning. If a child or a loved one is sending you voice notes, my kids rarely send me voice notes, so that would be out of character anyway. Get them on a phone. You want to speak to them. You want to hear them. You want to get some context. Don't just like have it close, because if it's close, then it's easier to fake. Ask them to see their surroundings, who they're with. Just do all the checks. Be really skeptical.
Yeah.
Right. I'll move on to the next one. OneDrive. So if you use Microsoft OneDrive in a business setting, there is a new feature rolling out this month that could probably pose a significant security risk if you don't deal with it. So this Microsoft, like every week at the moment, Microsoft just seems to be doing amazing things. We had Copilot AI, we had Recall that we talked about the past couple of episodes. Windows 10 is obviously coming to end of life. 240 million PCs will stop receiving updates, which just seems insane. Microsoft has introduced a feature this week on Microsoft where OneDrive Sync client on Windows detects my personal. Let me start that again just to clarify that. Microsoft have introduced a feature where OneDrive Sync client on Windows detects personal Microsoft accounts on business devices and prompts the user to sync their personal OneDrive files. So if a user accepts this prompt, their personal files begin syncing alongside their work files. So that means if you don't disable this, users can transfer business files into their personal OneDrive accounts without any logging or any oversight.
Wow.
Now, we had this where I used to work with Apple. So this, like, Microsoft are turning into Apple more and more. Okay. So iCloud, Apples are harder to manage in an organization than Windows devices because the endpoint management systems, the systems that an IT team can use to administer the security posture of a device. Microsoft comes baked in. There's Microsoft Intune. It's a Microsoft tool that you can use to tweak every single little tiny setting on a Windows device. Apple used to have something that wasn't very good. Now Apple is mainly done using tools like Jamf, Jamf. I think it's Jamf, but I heard it called Jamf the other day. Now, where I used to work, they used to have iCloud accounts and you'd sign in. They didn't have corporate Apple iCloud accounts. You'd sign in with your personal iCloud account. You'd have a personal iCloud drive and you could save documents to your personal iCloud drive, which is crazy. Many organizations do this because Macs are harder to manage. Microsoft was always great because the posture was tighter. This is a massive weakening of that posture. So now essentially, if someone wants to exfiltrate some data, it might be a pay slip. It could be some files to work on their home computer. They can just drag them over to their iCloud, personal iCloud drive. And obviously this gets worse because when employees leave the company, anything in their personal account, they keep. So there are a couple of tips. This is from Hans Brender's blog. And there's a couple of tips. There is a disabled personal sync policy that you can apply on managed Windows devices. And there's also disabled new account detection. So that removes that, we've detected this account. Would you like to sync? So get both of those enabled. Details will be in show notes in the newsletter. There'll be links to that. So if you have managed Windows devices, you want to pass this to Windows administration team, whoever looks after it, and get them to fix it. They might already be doing this. If you're in a small business, this is more of a problem. Whoever does your IT support, reach out to them and talk to them about this. This is worth, even if you're paying £50 an hour to support, this is worth the 50 quid to get them to fix this because it's a quick fix if they know what they're doing. So spend the money. If you pay by the hour, spend the money to get your IT teams to fix this because this could lead to big problems.
Yeah, another thing on by default.
Yeah, nice.
Seems quite silly.
I wonder if there's an awareness person at the table of these conversations in Microsoft. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't really see the benefit of that being on by default, but yeah.
It's interesting. Right. Okay, let's move on. The next one is yours, sir.
Yeah, so this story is about LockBit, the ransomware gang, who have been hacked themselves recently.
The irony.
I think it's reported yesterday. But yeah, they've suffered a data breach where their dark web affiliate panels have been defaced and have been replaced with a message that contains a download link to a MySQL database dump. So yeah, at the moment, well, I think this may have been fixed since this goes out and stuff, but basically, their ransomware admin panels now state, don't do crime, crime is bad, XOXO from Prague. And then a download link for a zip file of their database, which contains nearly 60,000 Bitcoin addresses, build configurations, and 4,400 victim chat logs, which obviously contains all the negotiations that have been going on.
It's
quite incredible that this has sort of come out. I don't think it's the first time either they've been disrupted in this way, but I'll go into that in a bit.
I just love the fact that it's love and hugs from Prague. Yeah, that's brilliant.
I don't think it's been said who's behind it yet. I don't think anyone's come forward. But there's some interesting things from the database where the admin accounts for these ransomware operators, their passwords have been shown in plain text. There's a few examples. Where is it? So someone's got Weekend Lover 69, Moving Bricks 69420, and LockBit Proud 231. So
Nice, strong
really
password
secure
policy.
passwords. They've got some numbers and uppercase characters in them, but
Yeah.
no. So this is a breach that follows on from Operation Kronos in 2024, which resulted in the arrests of 2 LockBit actors in Poland and Ukraine. And I think that was a successful thing of freezing over 200 crypto accounts, and over 7,000 decryption keys was seized in that.
Mm.
But yeah, there's not a whole lot more to this one, I don't think.
I mean, it just goes to show that the attackers, the cyber criminals, don't just attack the good guys. This is a civil war in some ways. Right? It's like West Side Story, the old musical you had, like the Jets first. I can't remember what the other one. It's territory, isn't it? It's turf war. It's like, we're better than you. You know, it's almost a competition of taking down your competition. Is, you know, it's old school. Yeah,
no, that's true.
I mean, let's let them fight amongst themselves as much as they want, right? Because then they're not doing it to other people. So we should encourage this, applaud them for taking each other down.
But it says here about how LockBit have claimed that there's nothing sensitive or any data was lost, but I think if it's about reputational damage and the impact it will have on sort of recruitment and the trust of their service they provide. I think there was something as well mentioning about another ransomware gang was sort of defaced in a similar way. So it could be someone, the same sort of people behind it, going around and targeting them.
Just to go back a few moments, the way you were talking, and you're not wrong. This isn't me being critical of you, but you're talking about
their reputational damage and the services they provide. It's like, for a minute, I was like, we are talking about LockBit, the cyber criminals, aren't we? We're not talking about an organisation. But it's amazing, isn't it, that they are essentially these cyber criminal groups live off their reputation, and they're, you know, they attract criminals from the underground rather than, you know, it's skills. People want jobs with them from the underground rather than, you know, genuine. It's amazing, but it's true. These people care about their image, their reputation, because they are businesses. They're just legal businesses. It's just like any other business, really.
Yeah, no. So I think that was that story.
Excellent. Yeah, it's an interesting one to tell people about the dark side. It's an interesting one because a lot of people don't realise, and it's not always a 16-year-old in a bedroom in Wales or whatever, and it's never a guy in a hoodie, like in a dark room with matrix code around them. These are criminal organisations, and they are organisations. There was a Darknet Diaries, I think it was a Darknet Diaries I listened to ages ago that talked about there being a contact centre somewhere in Russia or Eastern Europe, and it being that basically staff there were in, like, it looked like a normal office building, but it was full of people doing criminal stuff. You know, they run these things like businesses. So it's a really interesting side to tell your people about.
Yeah, no, it's reminded me, like, you see all these scam call centers, but you don't really see these. Obviously, they're quite a different sort of two different sides of it, like scam call centers and a ransomware gang, and they probably want to be hidden away a lot more. But no, it's crazy.
Yeah, brilliant.
So next story I've got is Microsoft's push for passkeys, and this marks the first ever World Passkey Day, which retires the World Password Day, which was on the 1st of May.
I didn't know that. I saw people say it was World Password Day, but I never heard it was called World Passkey Day.
Well, now it is.
Okay.
It will be going forward, but it's a passkey pledge that I think has been driven by the FIDO Alliance and has been signed by Microsoft and many other companies to sort of push forward with passkeys and getting them adopted. And something that Microsoft done recently, which is new Microsoft accounts are now passwordless by default, which
Right.
is a
That's good.
huge sort of thing for accounts and the security of them. So yeah, talks here about how passkeys have been adopted a lot more now, where nearly 1 billion keys are registered a day across platforms like Xbox and Copilot, which is an incredible number to think
that's
about.
Huge.
And yeah, obviously the benefits of passkeys. I mean, I don't use them yet. I might start migrating to them, but I guess the key benefit is how they're sort of more resistant to phishing. Just the way that they work, really. And obviously more convenient than having to type in your password a lot, and MFA, and it's like one less step sort of thing.
I still really struggle with passkeys, but let's not get into this now. I think that's a separate conversation. I feel that they're a tool created by technical people for technical people, and I don't really think there's been enough education for my mum, for example, as to what a passkey is.
It's all
I'm
very
not really sure how
new, isn't it, really?
I'm not really sure how, like, I've got a passkey for a Google account and an iPhone, and I'm not sure how it all glues together. A password. That's where what I need to find out. I might be showing myself up now completely because it's really obvious. But for me, I don't understand how my Google account in a Chrome browser and my iPhone and Apple account and my Outlook account, I don't get how that all glues together. Across multiple devices. But
yeah, I mean, there's functionality that does that, like allows that to happen. You just probably have to authenticate yourself a bit more than what you'd usually do with a passkey.
I think I've mistakenly set up passkeys on my MacBook by using the fingerprint because biometrics. So I think I do sign into something with the fingerprint, and it's a passkey. Not my MacBook. I sign into that with biometrics, obviously, but I'm not sure how that translates across devices. But that's a separate conversation. It's great that Microsoft are doing this. Someone needed to pull the trigger on this, and I know Google have been pushing it as well.
It's been popping up everywhere the last sort of few months. But yeah, it says here about how they're 8 times faster than a password and MFA. It seems like a lot. I don't know how accurate that is for everybody, but
do you know what?
It's a bit more convenient, a bit more time back.
It's an amazing stat because if we think back to a time when you just had a password,
you knew your password, you could type it in. Then there was probably a time where your browser knew your password or your phone knew your password and it auto-filled it and you could sign in. And then all of a sudden we were introducing SMS, SMS as an authentication factor. So you had to wait for the text and then you had to type in the 6 codes and before it timed out. And then we went to app-based one, which meant you had to swipe down, search for your authenticator app and find it and then wait for the time and then put it in. So yes, we've added lots of friction on that, which irritates the users, which encourages bad habits. If this does away with all of that friction, it's amazing. It's really, really good.
Yeah, a stat that they've pointed out is how there's 7,000 password attacks per second, apparently. Doubles the number of 2023.
Yeah. Password spraying and stuff like that in user accounts. And the amount of data breaches there are now, like we spoke weeks ago, we spoke about how I don't see the point in have I been pwned anymore because like we've all been pwned, everybody's been pwned. So, you just assume that stuff's out there. So you need to use a password manager or think of secure passwords or trust your MFA. So passwords need to die, right? They need to DIE, they need to unalive because they're not, whatever the kids say now. They need to go because they are so vulnerable now because the technology has just moved on, but the technology to defend us hasn't moved on.
Yeah, for those that don't use 2FA, have used weak passwords or reused them, it's definitely the step forward with passkeys, especially once they're a bit more in the sort of news, I guess, for everybody to sort of understand them and start using them. But there's some other stats here about, I guess, some takeaways for security professionals is to start thinking about passwordless being the default. How getting people set up with passkeys, especially the more vulnerable people, that it obviously prevents you go to a fake login page and you type in your password and it's gone. But if with a passkey that wouldn't happen. You'd be expecting your passkey to be popping up to say, do you want to sign in with your passkey? And that's sort of a giveaway.
I think
that site's not the right one, but
I think this is going to be a massive, massive thing that awareness teams are going to have to work on over the next year or two. I think how we sell passwordless, how we promote passwordless, and the story to explain that to those that don't understand is going to be something anyone working in security awareness is probably going to have to do over the next couple of years, because
it's going to be a big challenge,
especially given the recent events in the UK with M&S and Co-op and the suggestion that it was a password reset that, was the suspected thing. And there's been talks of, other attempts of things, we've had SIM swapping in years gone by. This does away with all of that, right? It makes it a lot harder. So yeah, I think there's going to be a massive drive. One of the things that will impact our industry from these three massive cyber incidents that M&S and Co-op are having is that stuff like this will all of a sudden be bumped up the priorities list, and boards will start asking the question about, okay, well, how do we stop this happening to us? And this is going to be one of the ways that people will suggest it. So yeah.
The next story follows in quite nicely with how the UK government are now rolling out passkeys to the authentication services across the government UK
this is for
services.
Users.
Yeah, I believe it is across like digital services that the government sort of provide as a. Currently, I guess there's probably SMS codes being sent out for some of these platforms.
So this is to gov.uk, is it?
Yeah, for gov.uk. I
can't remember.
Later this year, I don't think it's happening just yet. But I've used it before for like on a gov platform. You'd like to go and view your taxes and stuff. You have to get an SMS code.
You do. I've just checked, and mine's set to SMS authentication still. So this is a great step by them to get away with that.
Yeah, so that's sort of something that's going to be coming out soon. I think it says here about it was announced during Cyber UK. I'm quite sure.
That's been on this week in Manchester. It's like a 2-day cyber event in Manchester that's been on this week. Yeah.
Yeah, and it says about how the UK have also joined the FIDO Alliance. For those who don't know, it's an open industry association that develops and promotes authentication standards to reduce the reliance on passwords by enabling phishing resistant sort of login methods like passkeys. So
FIDO have got Google, Sony, IBM, Target, Uber, got loads of companies supporting them and their passkeys. So yeah, that's good.
Yeah. It says as well in this news story about how some of the NHS platform are using passkeys as well now.
Brilliant.
So yeah, they're already ahead of it.
Only their SMS messages were as good.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a passwordless future for everybody.
It's not a bad place to be, is it? That's, good. It needs to happen.
Yeah, no, it's a good thing.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Cool,
right. Yeah. That's it for the news this week, isn't it? So
yeah, we've got some smaller stories
let's get on with the rest of this week's top stories. Right. This week, don't pay the hackers. Britain's cyber chief has urged firms not to pay ransoms after cyber attacks hit Marks and Spencer's, the Co-op, and Harrods. So Dr. Richard Horne of the National Cybersecurity Centre warns that hackers often keep data and don't unlock systems even after payment.
Disruption obviously continues at the Co-op, with M&S targeted via impersonation scams. Scattered Spider is obviously the ransomware gang that is suspected of it. But Dr. Horn says that there's no evidence of sensitive customer data being stolen, but stresses it's a wake-up call for all organisations to bolster defences and recovery plans. It's true with ransom. There's no guarantee that they're going to give you your data back, delete the data. They can take your money and give you the data back and keep the data. These are criminals you're dealing with, so there's no contracts in place. We had this conversation, or this came up in conversation a couple of weeks ago, last week when I was in Leeds, a couple of weeks ago when I went to Leeds for Pentest People's panel discussion. And the one thing I think we all agreed on the panel, that the only way this is ever going to end is if companies can if we can nail recovery, right? Or we reduce the impact, and we can essentially make it so if we do get hit, we can recover really quickly. So actually it's like water off a duck's back. They'll obviously probably find another way, and there is data protection to have, but defenses. Another conversation I had this week was, years ago you used to just have an AV tool and you might have a phishing platform, and that was pretty much your security posture. And now there's just so much to it, and still things happen worse than ever. It's like the defenses can't keep up with the attacks. So it's it's worrying times. Dr. Richard Horn is not wrong. There's actually talk of making it illegal in the UK to pay the ransom. That's something that's going through or being discussed in Parliament. I think they want to make it illegal for companies to pay the ransom. Now, I reckon you probably still get some, take this briefcase to a dark garage block behind the offices at midnight and someone will take it off you. You'll probably get that going on. But largely, if they make it against the law to pay, then the hope is that the attackers won't attack. But we'll see. Education at the moment, education isn't allowed to pay. So if a university or a school gets attacked, they're not allowed to pay, even if they could. And on the other hand, people have cyber insurance, and cyber insurance covers them for ransomware payments, but cyber insurance is getting more and more expensive. And some businesses decide not to have cyber insurance and just have a golden war chest. Literally, like in case of emergency, rob the bank, and they'll have a nest egg there, ransomware fund that they hope they'll never have to dip into. But and going on this again, one other thing that came up at that conversation was many companies leave many companies leave their cyber insurance documents in their online file storage, OneDrive, Google Docs. So one of the first things an attacker does when they get in is look at your insurance documents to find out how much you're insured for, and that's how much your ransom is. Yeah, you're insured for 50 million. I want 50 million. That's essentially. So if you have insurance documents for cyber insurance, name them something obscure, or you can't even do that because Copilot searches all of your documents now. Don't keep them in the cloud. Keep them offline, locked in a fireproof chest. So when someone does attack you, they can't see how much you're insured for, because that's how much they'll ask for.
Yeah.
That was the first short news story that I went on a tangent and wasn't very short for. So next up, angry NHS staff meeting uploaded to YouTube. Leaked footage from a staff call shows NHS workers at North West Anglia Trust describing chaos on wards, financial hardship and burnout as management cut back shifts to save £73.5 million. One worker claimed for caring for 16 patients solo, though the trust says it was one to 9. The 80-minute call, viewed over 300 times on YouTube before being made private, saw staff express fear over lost income and excessive workloads. Unison, which is the nurses' union, warned pulling shifts risks pushing staff to dire financial straits. The trust says it regrets the breach. Of course they do. The trust says it regrets the breach of confidentiality, but defends its push for transparency. So there's a great story to tell about, permissions.
Yeah, there's user error there, isn't there?
User error. Someone's uploaded that to YouTube, probably to share internally, genuinely innocent. Can you share it with these people without any instruction? Oh, yeah, I'll put it on YouTube. There you go. I'll give everyone a link. But the link wasn't restricted, if you're a Google Workspace house, and I don't know if they would be being the NHS, I don't know. They're a trust, they might be. But if you run Google Workspace, you can restrict it to your domain. You don't need to make it public. They've obviously made it public and the links got out. 300 people have seen some heated discussions. So check your permissions. There's one to tell you people. Next story, CoGUI phishing platform sends 580 million emails to steal credentials. A massive phishing campaign using a new phishing kit called CoGUI sent over 580 million scam emails from January to April 2025, mostly targeting Japan. Impersonating brands like Amazon, Apple, and PayPal, the phishing emails trick users into entering sensitive info on fake login pages. US, Canada, and Australia also saw similar attacks. So CoGUI filters targets based on device details and only shows phishing pages to select victims. Though similar to the Darkula kit, which I think we've spoken about before, Proofpoint says CoGUI is separate, yet both are tied to Chinese threat actors. So experts, of course, experts. We could be these experts. Experts warn you to never click on urgent emails. Go directly to the site. It's like, you get a notification from PayPal. Go to PayPal. If you get a notification from Amazon, go to Amazon. Yeah.
This one was quite interesting with how it's probably not the first to do it, but how if it sort of doesn't think your device is going to be sort of compromisable, it would send you straight to the real website so you don't sort of suspect anything.
Right. That's interesting. I know there used to be like drive-by attacks, and I don't know if they're as common as they used to be. Security researchers, pen testers, whoever would probably tell me I'm wrong. But there definitely used to be drive-by attacks that would basically try and poke holes in the browser you were using and stuff. Or they'd detect what device you were on. And if it was a Mac page, it would take you somewhere. And if it was a Windows device, they'd take you somewhere else because Windows is typically more compromisable than Mac. So it's interesting that they'll take you to the legitimate site if they can't compromise you. That's really interesting. Yeah. The last one, this one's amazing. The last news story for this week is 404 Media. Basically, a judge accepted AI video testimony from a dead man. So the sister of Christopher Pelkey made an avatar of him to testify in court. Christopher Pelkey was dead. Okay. So an AI avatar made to look and sound like the likeness of a man who was killed in a road rage accident addressed the court and the man who killed him. There is actually, so this is an impact statement, and there's actually a video here. Let me get this up because I won't play it all, but this is just a really interesting use of AI as we see it, isn't it? So
it's like the other video we shared a couple of episodes ago.
Yeah, so a couple of episodes ago we had someone had an AI lawyer, didn't they? They had a lawyer that was AI generated, and they literally played 2 seconds, and the judge was like, "What are you doing? Is this AI?" And they were like, "Yeah." And they were like, "No, I'm not having it." So this was actually allowed. So here we go.
Just to be clear for everyone seeing this, I am a version of Chris Pelkey recreated through AI that uses my picture and my voice profile. I was able to be digitally regenerated to share with you today. But here is insight into who I actually was in real life. Take a look.
All right, I'm Chris Pelkey.
It's an incredible story. It really, really is. Obviously, really sad because he was, he died because of a road rage accident. But he says, like the AI version of him says, in another life we probably could have been friends. I believe in forgiveness, and a God who forgives. I still do.
So this is apparently the first time the AI avatar of a victim has ever addressed a court. And it raises questions about the use of this type of technology in future court proceedings. So his sister made the avatar, and her husband recoiled when she told him about the idea. He told me, Stacey, you're asking a lot. It's so. I just thought that AI continues to shock and surprise. The judge in the case. How was it received? The judge in the case, Todd Lang, said he was moved by the video, and these are his words. And there is a video of this as well. He says, "I loved that AI, and thank you for that. As angry as you are, and as justifiably angry as the family is, I heard the forgiveness. So I love the beauty in what Christopher," and I call him Christopher. I always call him people by their last names. It's a formality of the court, but I feel like calling him Christopher as we've gotten to know him today. I feel like that was genuine. It's it's interesting.
It's verging on dystopian. It's quite a strange times.
Coming to an episode of Blackberry near you.
Yeah.
It reminds me, and it is slightly different. There was a story last year or the year before about someone elderly that had died, and then they used her likeness to record messages to her loved ones as part of the funeral service. So she was there. She hadn't recorded these beforehand, I don't think. I think it was done after. She was talking to the individuals. I can't remember. If I remember, we'll maybe talk about it in another episode. That's this week's news. And we're way into the episode, so we'll keep the rest of this quite brief. Comments section. Now, look, I just want to do a little shout out. So I post our videos on TikTok. I've mentioned this before. We're having a bit of a TikTok blow up at the moment. So over the last couple of weeks, we've filled Wembley Stadium twice, and we've almost filled it another time. So we've had some videos go really, really big. A video from last week about we talked about Windows, 240 million Windows devices becoming obsolete. Over the last 2 days, that's been viewed 82,000 times on TikTok, that section. Last week, we spoke about the unlocked laptop on the train. That's been viewed 17,000 times. So thank you for everyone that's, if you found us via TikTok, do let us know. Do reach out and let us know. We do share clips and sound bites on TikTok. The Windows devices one, people have been fighting in the comments. Okay, there's been so many comments on that video, and there's been some proper arguments on it. There's 636 comments on that video. 1,500 people have liked it. Someone has a genuine question. How do you know what hardware isn't compatible with Windows 11? My gaming PC says it can't upgrade, but not what I need to be able for it to upgrade. And that's poor show, Microsoft. Like, if there's a reason it doesn't if that's true, if there's a reason it doesn't upgrade, give me the ability to get my machine compliant. Do you know what I mean? Don't just tell me to recycle it. Tell me how I can make my machine work. Because it might just be, someone else said about, a TPM chip is only $6. And it is. Not all devices can take TPM chips, but if it's a $6 chip that's preventing my gaming PC from not being able to run Windows 11, tell me and I'll go and buy a $6 chip rather than a brand new computer. Do you know what I mean?
That's quite crazy.
There was some argument over the definition of obsolete. People said, it's not obsolete. They just don't provide security updates, which I consider it to be obsolete if it's no longer supported. So I guess it depends. That's kind of, it doesn't
personal use. You might not care too much, but for a business, it's a bit different.
But it's still obsolete. It's still not supported anymore.
I mean, there's people out there probably running Windows 7 and 8.
So we did have, and I don't know how genuine these are. There was comments about people still running Windows XP, people still running Windows 7, absolutely fine. No one said they were running Windows Vista, which is interesting. People comparing this to Apple, and yes, this is exactly the same business model that Apple operate, right? 3-4 years of operating system updates and then no more. The difference is there's not 240 million Apple devices falling out of support each year. This is big. So it has been advertised for years. Some people were saying, oh, it's not sudden. Yes, it has been advertised, but it's getting close and people don't really notice. I think lots of comments about Linux and, oh, you should just install Linux, just install Linux Mint and this version and that version. But, most people aren't technical. The people that can install Linux is quite a small fraction of the population of that 240 million. So, yeah, it's not great. A lot of people don't understand the problem, and this is another thing where our jobs are all the more important, right? And why we should be talking to our people about this, because a lot of people didn't see the reason to have any worry. Like, oh, it still works. So, again, we need to explain why it's important that your device is no longer supported. It's really important.
Yeah.
Right, I'm going to move on. Awareness. So this week, the week we're recording this Thursday, yesterday on the Wednesday, I was on a wonderful webinar for Think Cyber. And it was basically about communicating from the top. How do you communicate upwards? How do you communicate downwards from board level and from CISOs? It was really, really great. It was on there with Simon Mayer from Huguenot. He is former CISO of Q8 National Bank. So it was great having the two perspectives. He was kind of right up there looking down, and I was kind of coming up from the ground up. We all agreed essentially that communication is key. We have to tell stories. We have to bring people on board, and that this is very much a human problem. So it was really, really good. A recording of that is available. It's about an hour. So get yourself, I will put links in the show notes. We'll put links in the newsletter as well. If you haven't got the newsletter, riskycreative.com, or search for the awareness angle on LinkedIn. 12th of June, Future of Cybersecurity Virtual Conference. I am the warm-up act for Lee Morton from CBG. Holly Foxcroft, and of course the headline speaker is the man that saved the internet, Marcus Hutchins, the man that stopped WannaCry and saved the internet as we know it. So really, really good lineup. Really excited for that. It's a virtual conference, so you can sit at home. 12th of June, all comfy, and watch that. It's pretty much an all-day event.
It's definitely one to watch.
Yeah, should be good. Right, moving on, because we are running right out of time this week, and there's a few bits to get to. So one I saw, and this was a post by Craig Pickles, who goes by Yorkshire Techie. And Craig said, he posted on LinkedIn, if you have a Samsung phone, you don't have a Samsung phone, do you? There was a time when if you didn't have an iPhone, you had a Samsung phone, but I don't think that's the case anymore. So Craig posts, if you have a Samsung phone, just be wary about what you copy to the clipboard. Having an app that can store all of your copy and paste data in case you need it at a later date could be a great tool, but there are security implications with the tool built into Samsung phones. The main risk here is that anybody with access to your Samsung device could load up your Clipboard Viewer app, read anything you've copied and pasted historically, unless you regularly go into the app and delete it. So it could be passwords, payment details, telephone numbers, information you prefer nobody else to see. Both standard Android and iOS do keep this data in plain text, but it's effectively deleted by being overwritten the next time you copy and paste. So Samsung doesn't overwrite it, they keep it. And this gets me thinking, like, actually.
Copilot.
Yeah, I mean, it's all Copilot recall built into Samsung phones. So yeah, that's I thought that was quite interesting. It's an interesting one. Samsung, a lot of corporate devices will be Samsung. Samsung used to offer, they used to offer some really nice looking low end phones, and then Huawei and people like that came and stole some of the market. But obviously, they're not flavor of the month anymore. So they are right up there somewhere. So it's if you've got Samsung phones, it's worth thinking about. Another one I wanted to mention. No, hang on. Let's just see what's going to bring the best value at this time. I'm going to go with this. This is something new that I didn't quite get. Okay, I saw this and I was like, what's this? So this is something that I saw on Reddit. Have you heard of a brushing scam?
No.
I hadn't. So that's fine. No judgment here. So my dad just got this in the mail. Return address is Aristotle Metalworks in Georgia, but I don't think that's legit. These don't seem metal. Please feel free to contact us if you have any questions. Contact customer. Contact with customer service. We will get back to you within 24 hours. Email support at 24hour-service.vip. Other ways solve problems, 7 to 15 business days. Our customer service team will full-heartedly serve you. And it's a little bag of what appears to be seeds.
Mm-hmm.
So there was lots of conversation here. It wasn't really clear for a little while, but essentially a brushing scam is done to level up Amazon reviews. So what they do is, if you Google it, McAfee have an article on this, and it says the term brushing originates from Chinese e-commerce, where the act of brushing up sales numbers involves creating fake orders and sending goods to random individuals. The practice boosts a product's popularity. So essentially, when you see something really random and it's got a load of reviews and they're all verified purchases on Amazon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
People will take a list of names and addresses and they'll create an Amazon account and make a purchase on their behalf. And they'll send them out. So they're making the purchases. All of a sudden I get a bag of seeds and I'm like, why have I got a bag of seeds? But the company that's created the account in your name can then go on and go, oh, I loved my seeds. They were the best seeds ever. They were great. You should all buy seeds. And then I've received a bag of seeds and I'm, what? Without realizing that there's an Amazon account set up with my name and address and I've made a purchase. It might not be my email address. It probably isn't my email address. But all it needs is an address to send something to. So, and a different account. So there's a BBC article on this from 5 years ago that I thought was quite interesting. So we'll share that BBC article in the link. This isn't new, but it was interesting that this appeared on Reddit. 26,000 upvotes. It was like, okay, this is clearly interesting. So, yeah, it's one to think about. If you receive something strange in the mail, don't plant the seeds. There was lots of conversation about this being a terrorist attack or something like that. People sending invasive species. And many people were like, why would they post them? Because you're just going to bin them. They'd put them in drones or weather balloons or anything rather than that.
Yeah, it's a weird one.
Yeah. Right. You had one you wanted to share, didn't you?
Yeah, just another strange looking SMS.
It's our weekly SMS check. This could almost become a feature. Like this week's bad SMS or bad. Yeah. We should create a feature on this. The worst thing we've seen this week. Is it real?
No, that's
is
a good idea.
Yeah. What you got for me then, Luke?
So SMS that I received from, saying it was from Royal Mail. Little symbol that shows like it's reported as spam or it's suspected spam. But it was like just a delivery notification from Royal Mail to tell me that I've had having a delivery due between this time. And view the delivery options at this address. And the address was https://ryml.me/ and a bunch of numbers. I guess some of it was the tracking number for the item. But yeah, another interesting URL choice. A short link of ryml.me.
So this was genuine?
It was genuine.
Do you know what? It's really frustrating
like link shorteners, there's a place for them, right?
Mm.
But where there isn't a place for them is when you're dealing with end user customers and they need to trust what they're doing. Like someone technical's built this and thought it was a really good idea.
Yeah, no, especially when scammers are, they're going to be using the short links to hide what this, where it takes you. But it's quite an interesting one because I Googled it. Don't know if you want to bring it up on the screen, I can drop it in as well. But there's a Reddit post from 4 years ago. Someone asking about this different URL at the time. But then, so if you scroll up, there's the original post, but I think it was a scam in their case, potentially, by the looks of it. So it was a capitalized I in their URL, apparently, for their one.
What? ROYA capital I MAIL.
Potentially, yeah.
Yeah.
But then
again,
the thing that I saw was...
Look at that.
Sorry, go on.
Sorry, I'm just saying, that SMS has come from a random phone number.
Yeah.
Yeah, which isn't obviously... It's... Do you know what? Stuff like this really bugs me, and there needs to be a better way. And maybe the government needs to create like a postal app that anyone can use or something that, just like a trusted enclave of tracking. Or Royal Mail should just give you the tracking number and an easy way to copy it or something.
Yeah.
And then you paste it into their website rather than actually providing you with the link. Go to the Royal Mail website. Who doesn't know? Luke, Royal Mail website. If you didn't know it was royalmail.com, and I'm assuming it's royalmail.com, I actually wouldn't type that in. If I wanted to go to Royal Mail website, I would go to Google and type Royal Mail.
Yeah.
So why not just say, go to the Royal Mail website and enter this code? Like,
yeah, no, there's a way around it, I guess. But yeah, the interesting thing was these comments as well. 3 years ago, someone's mentioned about how that domain is a fake scam thing. But I think there's some confusion here because if you click on
this is amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
But looking at that Twitter post, it's Royal Mail using that short link, talking about scam alerts. So I think this person's got confused. But I think there probably are still times where scammers use a sort of fake Royal Mail URL that they've bought that looks similar to this. But the most recent comment from 5 months ago that you've got on the screen here with the Reddit post talks about how Google AI, when you're doing a Google search, has sort of picked this up and gives you some information to say that this URL is used commonly in scams.
Yeah.
So it's very similar to the stuff we spoke about before with Google and how their summary of the AI is not particularly great.
Yeah.
I thought it's interesting.
I have just checked it now. So I've just Googled, is ryml.me a real domain? And Google AI does now say, yes, it's a legitimate domain.
Yeah, so...
Although, no,
Google AI is confused. Yes, ryml.me is a legitimate domain used by Royal Mail. However, it's also a common target for scammers who use it to create fake links.
Yeah. Says... Yeah, this AI overview. It's not great.
This person from James Tiberius, named after James Tiberius Kirk from Star Trek, the original series, obviously. James Tiberius, his last 2 points here are completely valid and are a lovely way to end the show, actually. Royal Mail are idiots for using shortened links. They're usually a red flag, but in case, no, they're real. And then 2, Google AI has a long way to go before it's useful. Now, the organization, like 2 organizations that I've worked in, have used link shorteners, branded link shorteners
for the company name, but never externally with customers. Like, because there's no need. There's that trust there. You can use it internally, but when it goes external, use your trusted brand if you need people to trust it. NHS, and this. It's, if you stop using link shorteners for customers, there's just no need. There's not a character limit on those messages. If there is a character limit, just make your message shorter. Like, if we go back, if I go back to that original text message, and the message that you've got says your blah blah parcel is due today between 8:58 and 12:58. View delivery options, and then the link. Why not just say your parcel is due between, so there's a word saved, click or delivery options hyphen and then royalmail.com. Like, you're going to save a few characters. It's just bad. I just think it's really bad. There was another brand. We need to wrap up soon. I'm aware of that. There was another brand that dropped its vowels and then brought them back recently. It's kind of like it's not what Flickr did. There was one recently that literally, I don't know who it was. I can't remember, but it received a load of backlash and was like, I'm going to bring it back. It was a bank. That was it. Standard Life Aberdeen. So Standard Life Aberdeen rebranded itself to ABRDN.
Right.
And then,
in the domain as well.
And it got there was a load of backlash, basically. People were saying, why have you done that? Where's the name gone? And they said, it's still pronounced Aberdeen, but it's just spelled ABRDN. And they went for the domain name as well, ABRDN, and they're Aberdeen Investments. It's like, oh, God. Anyway, right. I think that's probably it for this week in what is our longest ever episode. So there's been lots to go through. We haven't even gone through everything we had to go through this week. So we've got some cracking stuff lined up for next week, which makes our job easier for this coming week because we've already got half a show lined up, which is amazing.
Yeah.
So, look, where are we? Talk to people about Co-op and about Marks and Spencer's. Empathy still goes out, still feeling really bad for anyone working there. We wish you all the best and hope you're not eating too much pizza in the office and you are getting some sleep in your home bed at home and seeing your family. Passphrases. We're going to have a chat about passkeys. We're going to have a chat about passkeys, and we'll see if maybe we'll create some materials on passkeys. Let's have a chat about that. We probably should have discussed this more, but we are talking about Cybersecurity Awareness Month in October. So Luke and I are talking about some ideas. We've got some ideas about stuff for October that we might do to help you guys. Let us know what you're doing, what you want to do, what you're struggling with, and we'll see if we can help you with that. I haven't even mentioned the interview with Jasmine S. Kenzie's out. Should have mentioned that right at the top of the show. Amazing interview with Jasmine. Really, really interesting about mindfulness and cyber mindfulness. That it's all in the newsletter, riskycreative.com. Sign up there. And please vote. Please vote for us in the awards.
That'd be amazing.
If you don't want to vote for me, vote for us. Like, it's us. It'd be amazing if the awareness angle could win something. We do this every week for love, and it's a passion, and we don't do it for any money or anything like that. So it's completely independent and just costs us money rather than earning money. So, yeah. So brilliant. Follow us on TikTok, follow us on YouTube, follow us on all the podcasting platforms. Luke, I'll see you next week.
Oh, yeah. Catch you next week.
See you next week. Goodbye.